overall, this halfway through the season mark for MLB has been pretty interesting. Murdoch and I were Red Sox and Mets fans. Personally, the Red Sox have been surprising everyone. They're looking like a very surprising team. So have the Mets. The Mets are now 3 games over 500, and it has been such a interesting season for the New York Mets, and so has the Boston Red Sox.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I want to ask you this, Brandon, as a Red Sox fan. Excuse me. How do you feel going into the second half of the season?
Good. I mean, we've seen. I just hope it's not one of those situations where, or it is one of these situations at first half where a lot of things have gone right for us to be so successful, and I'm just worried that it's one of those things where you get that break, you get that week-long break, and all of a sudden you kind of cool down a little bit, like guys are. But overall, if things stay the way they are and continue progressing, I'm really happy. I think things are going to go well. I think I would like to see us add at the deadline. I don't want us to. This is our best chance I saw of the making the playoffs. I think we're over 50% for the first time since like July 2022. So just having that, like that believability, having the front office show that they have believability in this roster and adding to this one. I'm not saying we have to be like world beaters and add like the best players, like the biggest names at the deadline, because I just don't think we're that good yet. But add serviceable guys, add guys like an Eric Fetty from Chicago, like add guys that can. We don't have a bullpen day every fifth day. That would be the ideal scenario, and a right end and bat.
Yeah, I have to say about this Red Sox team, this team is fun. They are a very fun team, and you get to see young players starting to produce. Jaron Duran, who's all-star, I believe he is, and he's
Oh
been
yeah,
really good. Rafael Devers is having a fantastic season, and personally, he could have started over J Ram in my personal opinion. Um, and also this starting pitching for you guys, Tanner Hoke, who was amazing, Cutter Crawford, who is also very good. The bullpen with Kenley Jansen, they have been producing. They have been playing very, very well for the Red Sox. And
100%.
I can really see the Red Sox probably push to be buyers during the deadline. Like, I know that this is a very, very tough division for them. Try to squeeze the wild card because I honestly, if it's whoever's going to be going up against Boston, Boston could surprise people.
I don't think
They
any.
go ahead.
Sorry, no, you go. Sorry,
Oh no, I was just gonna finish saying like they've surprised people in previous years, so they can definitely do it this year. That's all.
yeah, I don't think that this is one of those buzzsaw teams where like they get the reputation of I don't want to see them in the playoffs. Like I don't think they're the most obviously they're not the most talented team in the AL, but I can assure you that I don't think any single team above them wants to see them in the first round or anything.
Yeah, I agree. Um, Now as a Met fan, this has been the most interesting season ever. I mean, I've been a Met fan since 2009. This is hands down the most interesting season that I have ever watched baseball. Going to opening day, we have a veteran named Seymour Wiener. Then we do a hot dog day that we sold $1 hot dog for Seymour Wiener Day, and we sold like 40,000 hot dogs for $40,000 to a charity. Kind of interesting. Then, of course, with the whole Jorge Lopez situation that he throws the glove and he gets released from the team, we of course saw the Grimace era that the Mets are pushing this whole Grimace thing. And then we see Jose Iglesias performing OMG, his single, which is now #1 on iTunes for Latino music. And now, I don't know if you heard about this, Murdoch. He's performing that
Yeah.
today at the
Oh,
home run derby.
I
That's
saw that. I saw
crazy.
it. No, that song is fire though. I love that. Like
No,
I
it's a
heard
great song. It's
it.
fun. It's enjoyable. It's very like it's a fun song. But what's kind of funny is he was an all-star in 2015 and now he is going to the all-star game again as a singer. So that's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
mean, look,
Little
he's having fun with it.
little bit of both worlds, little Hannah Montana action. The best of
Yeah.
both worlds. No, but
um,
yeah,
but personally for this Mets team, yes, they're 3 games over 500. They do have a wild card spot. I'm enjoying this baseball team. And obviously, there's a lot of problems. This bullpen is hands down the worst bullpen in baseball. There is only like 3 pitchers that I feel confident that can actually get out of an inning, which is really scary to begin with. The starting pitching only goes 5 innings. They have walk problems like crazy. The hitting has been there. Lindor at the leadoff spot since he moved has been great. Brandon Nimmo going to the third spot has been great. Francisco Alvarez is looking incredible. Mark Vientos looks really, really good. Pete Alonso, yes, he's having a career low season, but you know that he's going to possibly get that spark for him that he's going to break out of it.
Mm-hmm.
JD Martinez has also been a very good piece for this team, even though he's been struggling right now, but he's a good vet to have. Personally, for me, the Mets should not sell. I know that sounds crazy for a lot of people, but personally, I do not see them trying to trade like a P. Alonso or Severino or Chaminade. Like they most likely going to try to trade their starters so they can have Senga, Buto, and Christian Scott come in to fill in those holes. But don't trade your top players. You're on a roll right now. And look, if you fall apart in August, so what? I mean, no one expected them to even make it to this point in the season. So
100%.
So that's my personal opinion about the Mets team right now.
Yeah, I think they're in a similar situation to the Red Sox, where I think they're playing with house money. I think they're very exciting, young on the younger side, especially on their offense.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys sell, I think that would be a huge mistake, just because you're currently holding the third wild card spot, and you're doing this with I believe without Kodai Senga all season.
Yep.
Who's arguably your best pitcher. And obviously Pete Alonso could be better, but you're getting so many contributions from all around the lineup, all these guys, and like. I just think they can. I'm not necessarily similar to the Red Sox. Don't go get a crazy guy. Don't get like the best player at the deadline. Don't sell the market for that because you're not there yet. But get a guy that can help you compete, help you win. And just and this is the vibes around this team are obviously a lot higher than I think it's fair to say that I've been in the past. Just because looking at the clip from the Jose Iglesias, everybody, the entire team, their family, they're all in the field watching him have a concert promoting a single. Like that's awesome. Like that's vibes. Like that you have the team chemistry, you have morale, you have the team chemistry. Like I said, that you have the talents there. You're young. Like it's New York. Like go get some players that can help them win. Go do like that's a good team. You have a good team.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, and it was right after that Jorge Lopez situation. They had a team meeting, basically explaining the problems that they have had this season. And of course, the London series, that's how they had great chemistry. Like they started to connect pretty well from that, which is pretty cool. This team is good. I mean, look, they have some young players coming up as well. And I really don't think that they should trade away their players. I mean, I've heard rumors that the Astros are interested in P. Alonso. I really don't want that to happen because the Astros have the worst farm system in baseball. That's not going to happen. And also, like, why would you want to trade away P. Alonso? I know that has been like in the rumors for a while because I don't know the P. Alonso situation when the offseason comes around, whether he's staying or he's getting out of here. We're not going to talk about that, but right now this team is fun. And look, let the kids play. That's all I got to say there. But
100%.
Since that we're talking about, we just talked about, two teams that have been surprising this season. I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. Since that we're halfway through the season, there has been a lot of teams that are shocking everyone, and there's a lot of teams that have been disappointing everyone this season. So, Brandon, pick a team that you were very disappointed in this season.
Easy, the Texas Rangers.
Yep.
I mean, they're coming off the World Series. I wasn't expecting necessarily the same exact result. I don't think they were going to go back to back. I didn't necessarily expect the World Series hangover like this. They're currently 4 games under 500. I know they lost some of their starting pitching. Obviously, Jordan Montgomery. They didn't really add that much in the offseason. But they have such a good lineup. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia, the young guys, Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, even though I don't think they've been that great this season. Jordan Heim, like their lineup is stacked. I mean, their pitching could obviously be better. Nate Eovaldi's been pretty good for them. But yeah, overall, I expected them to at least be above 500 competing for the division lead right now. They're currently 5 games back in first place Seattle, which obviously with the whole second half to go isn't insurmountable. But like I figured they would be at least I thought they could be a couple games up in first place, competing for that first first in the division with Houston and Seattle.
Yeah, I really like that pick a lot. That was going to be my pick as well. Like Yes, this team is very young. They were a very good team too. Look, Josh Smith has been looking really good. Wyatt Langford, he's been shaky a little bit, but he's going to be a good player going into it.
So
Jonah
rookie.
Heim has been great. Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon. Like Seager has been a little bit better than Simeon. I think that Adolis Garcia is having a terrible season
Yeah.
personally, but and then like this pitching, the only thing that they lost from their World Series team is Jordan Montgomery. Nathan Voldy has been okay. John Gray was okay for a bit, but he's starting to fall off a little bit. Scherzer's back, but he's been looking pretty good. But it's crazy to see the fall off from this Rangers team. They went from World Series champions to being possible sellers during the deadline.
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of the Kansas City Royals when they won the World Series in 2015, and then they were like fourth in the AL Central in 2016. It's that big of a drop personally, but I do think that the Rangers are going to be a good team going forward, though. They have a young
Yeah.
team. They're going to find ways to, start, like that whole, cable thing that they were going, like having problems with that they couldn't spend enough money. They're going to find a way to fix that. And then, of course, they're going to be back to being a top team. And Jacob deGrom is coming back pretty soon in August. So there's going to be a lot of expectations for this Rangers team.
For a
So,
couple starts.
yeah, for two starts, and he's going to have another injury. Look, I love Jake, but I'm sorry, but he's injury prone.
Yeah.
Since we mentioned the Rangers, another team that has been very disappointing for me, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Look, the Dodgers, yes, they're going to win the the NL West. They are, to me, they're a very disappointing team. Mookie Betts is hurt. Yoshihiro Yamamoto is hurt. Dustin May had this horrible injury that he had a torn esophagus. Clayton Kershaw is hurt. This team is so injury prone, and they spend so much money for them to just kind of fall apart. They got swept by the Phillies, and I believe they got swept by Detroit. They had a horrible game yesterday by Johan Ramirez throwing 2 errors to cost them the game. Besides Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman, and you could say Will Smith because he's an all-star, this team is relying on players that are underachieving, personally. I know that they're going to win NL West, but the pitching is a problem for them. Walker Buehler came back, and he's been getting absolutely rocked.
Definitely. Glasnow's hurt.
Glasnow is now hurt. Paxton, he has a 4 ERA, I believe. This team is starting to fall off a little bit, and they spent like over $1 billion, and $600 million of that is hurt. Yamamoto is probably not going to come back this season. I don't know yet. I'm just, that's my assumption. He just moved to the 60-day. Mookie Betts, who's getting paid $300 million, he's out for a bit. So, but this team has been disappointing. Everyone thought they were going to win 120 plus, but that's personally what I think.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. There was such high expectation, but like when you look at the injury list, like their rotation, like the amount of pitchers they have on the IL, what could be your all-star start, like your entire all-star starting like rotation, like
that's true.
It's like they definitely, like, going into the season, their bullpen was definitely an issue, no matter what, injury or no injury. And we started in this series against Detroit. They're up 9-4.
Yeah,
and they lost like to Detroit. Come on, injuries or not, but still, yeah. But I think it is hard to judge them solely just because of how unlucky they've been. And just trust me, I don't like the Dodgers. I hate the Dodgers, but especially because of Mookie. But like it's just hard. Like I see where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong. But I just have a hard time like holding them necessarily accountable for how unlucky they've been.
I mean, like you can also make the argument in, I think it was like the middle of April when most of their team was still fully healthy. They were kind of falling apart a little bit from there too.
Yeah,
But
true.
there was a point where most of the players were struggling. You only had Teoscar Hernandez being like the big piece of that team. Who he's been amazing. He's an all-star. He's going to be starting the All-Star game.
Should have been
Ohtani is the best player in baseball. Actually, well, right now it's Aaron Judge, but you're talking like if we're talking about like altogether, it's Ohtani.
Yeah.
But it sucks that the injuries are kind of crushing them. I know they're gonna find ways to be buyers at the deadline. They're not gonna go and get like gigantic pieces. Like I don't expect them to go out and get big names like Garrett Crochet. I don't expect them to get big pieces around there. maybe some veterans they could possibly get just so they can fill the holes because there's a lot of problems with this team. So, but they're going to win the NL West because this one NL West is pathetic.
Yeah,
Personally, like there's been so many problems for this NL West. So
yeah. The NOS is it's something. There was the 4 out of 5 teams had high expectations. Only one of them's actually doing anything.
yeah, I mean remember the Diamondbacks? They won the pennant last year, and now they've been terrible. I mean, come on.
Giants added some nice pieces in the offseason. Didn't mean shit.
Well,
Padres are always gonna Padre.
Jorge Soler has not been doing well. Matt Chapman hasn't been that great, and Hwan-So Kim, I think his name is, the
John
Japanese
Ho
player that they
Lee.
signed. Oh, John Ho Lee. Sorry.
Yeah,
He's probably going to be out for the rest of the season because he's
I think
hurt.
he is. I think he's out.
Yeah,
I think he got. Yeah,
he's out for the year. Yeah.
so they're it's not looking great for them. They had some decent expectations because they made some good picks. I think in the offseason, I think they made some good pickups where I thought they could at least compete for a wild card, but
Yeah, I agree with that. So we mentioned about the disappointing teams. I know we talked about the Mets and the Red Sox as surprising teams, but is there another team that you can personally say has been a surprise this season?
probably Cleveland. I mean, don't get me wrong; they're always atop the AL Central or fighting for it. They're one of the better. They're one of the better teams in the AL. Like, but I didn't think they'd be this good. I didn't think that they'd be, especially the way New York was playing earlier this season, and the way Baltimore has been playing all season. I didn't think Cleveland would be tied for. Actually, in the moment, they are the top team in the AL with 58 wins,
Hmm.
21 games over 500. I did not have this kind of expectation for them. Stephen Kwan's been incredible. Jose Ramirez does his thing. Josh Naylor, Bo Naylor's been doing a little bit. The brother duo right there. Their pitching's always going to be solid because it's Cleveland. Emmanuel Clase is the best reliever in baseball at the moment. It's just unreal. And honestly, if we were talking about Felix Bautista being in the AL Cy Young candidate last year, you got to put Clase in there and at least in consideration for it, top 3, because he has a sub 1 ERA going into the All Star break, and that's because he gave up, and that's even after giving up like 2 runs the other day or a run the other day in his outing. So he's just unreal, and yeah, this team is definitely. I wouldn't say like overperformed because I expected them to be at the top, but they're just significant. Like they're just way better than I guess I thought they were.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, I wasn't expecting them to have the most amount of wins in the AL. Like teams were only like fans, excuse me, have been only thinking about the teams from the AL East, which are
Yeah,
Baltimore and New York. And then you just see like some post that's like Cleveland is the first team to reach 20 wins. They're the first team to reach 40 wins. Like
yeah,
I didn't expect them to actually look, they're a good team. J Ram is amazing. They have a good star-studded team, like you mentioned before. I was not expecting them to be, in the conversation between the Yankees and the Orioles. You can make the argument and say that they have a little bit of an easier schedule, but look, they won the games. Look,
gotta do what you gotta do.
you just gotta win the ball games at the end of the day, and they
Exactly.
have shown they have won, and they're doing this without Shane Bieber, who is out for the year with Tommy John. So kudos to them. Stephen Kwan is going to be leading off the All Star game tomorrow. J Ram is, I believe, batting 5th or 6th in the
Somewhere
All Star
there.
game, something like that.
Yeah.
The man who said he's better than Babe Ruth.
I love the confidence, but
I love the comp.
Rafi's still the best
I,
in baseball.
I love when players are just like full on confident and then they just say the most craziest takes. I mean, I love it. I mean, if it works for them, it works for them.
The game
That's all.
needs more energy,
Yeah,
more
exactly.
attitude.
The team that I can say is the most surprising, the St. Louis Cardinals. 2023, they were one of the worst teams in baseball. This season, they're only 2 games out of first place behind the Milwaukee Brewers, who have also been a surprising team. But for the Cardinals, it's not their veterans that are helping them. It's mainly their young players. Alec Burleson has been looking really good. Brandon Donovan has also been very good. Mason Wynn is looking like he's going to be a future player for this team. Wilson Contreras is back from the IL, and he's been amazing. And look, their starting pitching has been kind of rocky. Sonny
Hmm.
Gray is their best pitcher. Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson have been okay. But then you have a bullpen of Ryan Heasley as the closer. They are starting to look like a good team, and they might snag that wild card spot and shock some teams. But they've been very good this first half of the season, and I can honestly see them squeezing into a playoff spot.
No, I really like that pick. Obviously, like you mentioned, they had an awful 2023. And coming into the season, I don't think anyone expected much out of them. Probably expected them to sell at some point, either Arenado or Goldschmidt.
Mm-hmm.
And then just for them to be they're 4 games above 500 right now. They are in the wild card race. They are where are they at? They are the second wild card team. Only a few games behind first place Milwaukee, who's one of the best teams in the NL, who always for some reason overperforms. But yeah, the St. Louis, I think they didn't have the expectations, but they're playing really well. They're finally looking like St. Louis baseball, Cardinal baseball.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look, their pitching has been a little bit shaky. They lost Ryan Flaherty last season. They could bring him back. He is a Detroit Tiger. You could find a way to possibly do a reunion if you wanted to. It'd be a little
Definitely.
bit interesting though to like move on and get it acquired by the team anyway. But the Cardinals are going to find a way to be buyers at the deadline, and they're going to make some surprising moves, I believe. I mean, they're a very good team. Look, Paul Goldschmidt has looked probably he's having his worst season of his entire career. He's leaning towards retirement, honestly. I can see him retiring pretty soon.
Yeah.
Nolan Arenado is not the same player anymore. He only has 8 home runs this season, which is not what you want out of Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
His glove is still there, but he's not the same player. I've heard so much stuff about, the Yankees are going to acquire Nolan Arenado. The Yankees are, like this, Yankees are that. I don't think he's leaving. I think that, you got to stay put. If your team is that good, do not get rid of your pieces, even if they're underachieving. So,
No, 100%.